course, I'm speaking of the Kyle Larson waiver situation. I have expressed the last 2 weeks my dissatisfaction, the last 10 days, I guess. It's nothing that I can do to change the verdict, right? It's like the O.J. Simpson case. It's just, it's just nothing you can do, right? I mean, we just have to accept it and move on from it. There was a specific rule that was written, and NASCAR can break whatever freaking rule they want to break. And we could spend the entire show wasting our breath over something that's done, I mean, it's been beaten down, right? I mean, everybody's expressed their opinions. Everybody's had their moments of fame, 5 seconds of fame or glory or whatever, as they've added their opinion. Most people, I would say most people, were in favor of Kyle Larson receiving a waiver. And, I mean, that's good. Like, at least NASCAR fans can stand behind something. And most of us that petitioned against the waiver weren't just non-fans of the driver. I'm probably sure most of us were just non-fans of the driver. But some of us were just literally wanting NASCAR to do the right thing and stick to their rule book. But the one thing that we found out about NASCAR over all these years is they are consistently inconsistent. I've been waiting all day to use that opening phrase. Consistently inconsistent. And there's proof in the pudding, Do I need to go down the list, or can we just accept it for what it is and agree that, I knew Kyle Larson was going to get a waiver, and some people want to blame it on, well, it would be such a backlash to NASCAR if they followed the rule book, right? Or, we've seen the shenanigans, in the past, in many different situations. Who can be surprised that NASCAR lets the golden child and the golden organization get away with something? Sure, he put forth the effort to get there and had everything lined up, but in the end, he decided that the Indy race was more important than the Coca-Cola 600. And though it did rain out and he wasn't able to get into the vehicle, he still made the attempt to be there at the racetrack. I don't think that that's what the rule book says. If you can find me all those little added in rules, to the waiver guidelines, I'd love to see that. I would love to see where his deal was specifically outlined. But look, the idea of the rule has to be none other than the fact to keep drivers from racing other series. And, we're not just talking about the Cup Series. We're also talking about the Xfinity Series, the Truck Series as well. And if you're running for a championship and you're also on the Cars Tour, is NASCAR going to grant you a waiver so that you can continue to lead the points in the Cars Tour while you're, maybe running for 16th in a truck? That's going to happen, right? It's going to happen, and it's going to happen quicker than we can imagine. And somebody's going to test those waters now that, there is no specific sanity in NASCAR's rule. If NASCAR can give a waiver for a driver who's suspended by NASCAR and turn around and give a waiver to a guy who didn't show up for a race, though it says in the rule book you're required to show up for every race, what's next? We're going to have a team just not show up because, they have something else going on. Look, like I said, this could be a runway to hell if we dabbed any further into it. I would like for my co-host to respond. Of course, he has every right to have the floor as I do. I've clearly stated my claim and my case for the last last 10 days at least. And so now you can hear Taz's side of the story. Taz, Taylor, welcome aboard. I know we're coming out swinging already this evening. And I know you've been hanging on to what your opinion is, and I think our fans deserve to hear that. So, Taz Taylor, please.
So, I know Chris and I, we have different views on this, and we both have basically come to the terms of we agree to disagree, which that happens on Race Chat Live. It's nothing new.
That's what Yeah, that's our show.
And I believe Larson should have gotten this waiver because you can't control the weather. Like, I get Larson had a choice of skipping the Indy 500 and making sure he was in Charlotte, but it wasn't just his choice. He also had Rick Hendrick sitting there helping him make the decision. He also had Jeff Gordon sitting there making a decision, helping him make the decision. So it was not just a Larson decision; it was a whole team decision, and it wasn't like they didn't think weather would play a factor in any way, shape, or form. They planned for obviously him to run the full 1,100 miles. They also had probably had backup plan to backup plan in case of weather or something else drastically happening. So, of course, Indy had the rain delay, so it pushed back the start time, which made Larson miss the start of the 600. They had a backup driver for the owner points in Justin Allgaier to keep the 5 car in the owner points. They made every single attempt once Larson finished the Indy 500, do his 2 minutes of media press, and get out of there to catch a plane and golf cart his way over to the track. They made every effort possible, and unfortunately, when he got to Charlotte, weather became a factor, again, out of anybody's control, and NASCAR called the race, even though they probably could have probably finished it. But according to some of the drivers, Denny Hamlin. But now with this in mind, this is where I think NASCAR will look stupid in this sense. NASCAR and IndyCar kept promoting and highlighting Kyle Larson of doing the double for quite some time. And, of course, when it got closer and closer, that's when the stories started talking more and the press and media started becoming more and big and huge for Kyle Larson doing the double. And I'm sorry, but if I were NASCAR and you sat here and denied a waiver or told Larson you're not going to be championship eligible because you went to go run the double even though it was delayed, but yet you promoted it, it will look stupid on NASCAR. Now, if it was like, say, Larson running, I'm just going to throw this out there as an example, not saying this will happen, but it could be out there. Say if Larson wants to run a special, I think there was like a wingless sprint car little 500 at like Anderson Speedway. Say Larson wanted to run that and run the Coke 600 on the same day, but NASCAR did not promote in any way, shape, or form the little 500 or Larson doing the little 500 plus the Coke 600 double. If Larson decided to run the little 500 instead over the Coke 600, at that point I would say no, he should not get the waiver to be eligible for the championship. But because NASCAR in this case, they put in the promotion, they put in the media, they put in everything else saying that Larson's going to run this, and they kept on highlighting it throughout the whole Charlotte race too. The Indy 500's done. We're keeping track of Larson until he gets here. Like, NASCAR would look stupid.